free speech, there's an underlying assumption there that Canadians don't have the capacity to think for themselves. Second of all, I think that the response to the question this morning was unacceptable. It was, well, people were confused, right? I think that the government has to be very clear about one thing, that the role of the state is not to interfere in people's right to free speech or the freedom of the press. I mean, we can all disagree on things, but I would assume that that's one thing that is that needs to be immutable. What I'm concerned about, what I just heard, was that there was ambiguity in terms of that particular concept. When he said, well, you know, we might not license here, but we might license in this space, why do we need to license anything at all? You know, I understand that many Canadians are concerned about the spread of false information on social media platforms, but I think that as a country, there's a different way that we can look at this issue. Rather than saying that the government needs to create a giant bloated bureaucracy where we have the government determining what is truth, right? That's a little Orwellian. We should be trying to find ways to empower Canadians to critically think on these issues. And that's a fundamentally different way of thinking. In that school of thought, we think that Canadians have the capacity to do this. And this is where we fundamentally reject the recommendations in the report that was issued on this particular matter. I was, you know, what struck me was layer upon layer of bureaucracy in a space that I just frankly don't think that the government needs to have a role in. The fact that the minister went on national TV this weekend and said, we want media to have a license, and then couldn't stand here even when he was trying to walk it back and be clear on that point, should be deeply concerning for all Canadians. And I would hope that across political lines that this is a concept that we can agree on. The media shouldn't be licensed.
What's wrong with licensing to the media? I mean, TV stations are licensed to the CRTC now, radio stations. What's wrong with licensing them?
Well, there's a difference between saying, you know, here's a broadcast license versus what is proposed in the report, which is a media outlet would have to prominently link to a government-approved website. I mean, who makes that decision? It shouldn't be the government, right? I think that we're now treading into a space where we're starting to give social acceptance and normalization to erosion of freedom of the press, and that's problematic.
So you don't think he walked it back?
I don't think he walked it back far enough.
What opening did he leave?
Well, with regard to licensing around discoverability, you know, like what are you going to license, right? And based on what criteria? And the question that was asked about the fact that there still are questions on the print media bailout and the independence of the press there, those are valid questions. They all amount to erosion of freedom of the press in Canada. And when we're talking about trusted news sources and truth, you know, I would hate for Canadians to look at news outlets having any sort of caveat on that because they're taking government funds that have been approved by the PMO.
Is that what the
Je
minister
vais
said?
faire une déclaration en français, puis on continuera par la suite avec les questions. Alors, à titre de porte-parole du patrimoine, j'aimerais dire ce matin que malheureusement, l'ombre de Big Brother plane sur le Canada à la suite des déclarations du ministre Guilbeault hier et de sa tentative de rétractation ce matin. Pourquoi? Parce que le ministre s'attaque à un principe fondamental de la démocratie canadienne, c'est la liberté d'expression et l'indépendance journalistique. Alors, ce matin, maladroitement, le ministre a tenté de remettre la pâte à dents dans le tube de dentifrice. Mais c'est raté. C'est raté pour deux raisons. Premièrement, parce que ce n'était pas une question qui portait sur le rapport Yale, mais c'était une question qui portait sur l'indépendance journalistique. Et le ministre a été très clair qu'il voulait licencier, c'est-à-dire mettre sous réglementation, donner des licences aux journalistes ici au pays, ce qui est totalement inacceptable et qui va contre les principes de démocratie fondamentale. On se croirait à ce matin en Corée du Nord ou encore au royaume de Big Brother. Ce qui est provoquant dans les propos du ministre ce matin et regrettable, c'est que ça s'inscrit dans une tendance lourde, libérale, de vouloir régimenter la presse. On l'a vu avec la carotte, avec la dernière session, avec la tentative d'acheter les médias avec un montant de 600 millions de dollars. Et aujourd'hui, le ministre Guilbeault, ce qu'il nous dit, c'est Si la carotte ne marche pas, on va sortir le bâton et on va mettre les journalistes au pas. Alors, c'est totalement inacceptable. Le ministre ébranle la confiance envers le cabinet et envers la population canadienne, envers le gouvernement qui franchit la ligne entre l'indépendance journalistique et le pouvoir politique.
Saying that we're in North Korea based on this.
What I'm
Is that
saying
not an
is,
exaggeration?
what I'm saying is the minister, what he said yesterday is something we would hear in a place where democracy and government are trying to control journalists, which is totally unacceptable. That's what I'm saying this morning.
No, so Tonda, I don't think that's what my colleague said. I think what he was saying is that what separates Canada and makes us a great nation compared to countries around the world that have control over their press is the concept of freedom of the press, and that we shouldn't be trying to, we should be defending any even minute incursion on that principle, and it shouldn't be something that is partisan. Again, that report, when you read it writ large, it's actually very intrusive on that principle, and I kind of am of the opinion that the government needs to think very carefully before even exploring any type of legislation on that. Over the weekend, as I was digesting it further, I think that report, it was essentially written, like the mandate letter of Guilbeault and Baines reflects what is in that report right now, and that's concerning. And I think Canadians and media outlets need to be questioning that.
I don't want to disturb you, but we
Yeah.
have to stop it.
C'est la garde.
Good job.